Hello guys, it's me Sanjay here. Warmly welcome you all for this session. Already in our previous session, we guys have detailedly explored about the capacitors, right? I hope you all remember what is capacitor and what is its units. And also we guys have discussed about the difference between ceramic and electrolytic because without knowing this difference, you won't know like in a certain product if there is any problem occurs, what kind of capacitor you need to go for. That we guys have detailedly discussed and even how to find out the values of both ceramic as well as the electrolytic capacitor. That also you guys have discussed. And yeah, so when to go for the electrolytic capacitor, when to go for the ceramic capacitor, that also we guys have discussed in detail. And even while talking about the rules, remember, never ever connect your electrolytic capacitors backwards, because you can see this is what the electrolytic capacitor, all people like hope you all seeing a camera. So whenever you are really connecting a electrolytic capacitor in a reverse manner, so either it will get bulge or either it might get burst out. So that's why you have to be very careful whenever you're handling like electrolytic capacitor, because ceramic capacitor, no problem. It is a small guy and there is no polarity for the ceramic. But when you talk about electrolytic, the polarity is very important. And imagine like whenever you are bending down your neck, and whenever you are done the wrong connections, and what if the capacitor burst out? Okay, it might hit your eyes, so you should be very very careful whenever you're handling a electrolytic capacitor. So that is all we guys have discussed. And also very importantly, right, today we are going to discuss about one concept called decoupling capacitors in the circuit design. Sanjay, what is that decoupling capacitor? What kind of problem this decoupling capacitor is going to solve? So all people in this camera feed, what is this? This is actually a robot, okay, a small tiny robot, which we guys have already built it up. So in this robot, here we have this microcontroller, here we have this boost converter and fuse switch and charging module. This is all okay. But if you look closely, here there is two capacitor pair. So this is one is electrolytic capacitor. Here we have one electrolytic capacitor, and here we have one ceramic capacitor, which is put close together. Okay, can you guys able to see this? So here we have two capacitor. One is electrolytic, another one is ceramic capacitor, which is put together near to this. Okay, can you make the screen bigger? Okay. So guys, I just zoomed in a bit. Okay, now is it visible? So now here we have one electrolytic, one ceramic capacitor, which is put together. Sanjay, why we are dropping this and what kind of problem it is going to solve? That's what we are going to discuss right now. Remember, if you are joining this What is Your community, you are going to learn both hardware as well as the software, guys. Okay, so that you can apply for the embedded hardware role as well as the embedded software role. That's why we are learning both. Okay, imagine your microcontroller is really running very perfectly, guys. Okay, but what if whenever the motor is running, okay, your microcontroller is really good, but what if your motor is running, okay, on the time some problem is happening? Okay, so when it is in a normal idle state, whenever your robot is in a normal idle state, okay, whenever your robot is in a normal idle state, your microcontroller is okay. But what if the motor is started spinning forward or backward or left or right or something like that? So whenever something is happening, what if your microcontroller is resetting? Okay, whenever your microcontroller is resetting, whenever the motor is turning on, okay, so then there is some problem here. So what is the problem here? There is an induction problem. What do you mean by induction, guys? You already know, or you might have already heard about the inductors, right? Which is like winding of coil. What do you mean by motor actually? Motor is all about that induction. So inside that, it is going to have a magnet and it is going to have a copper windings in it. So whenever the motor is rotating or spinning here, so it is may produce some back EMF or something like that. Okay, so that issue is going to be called as a voltage collapse, because every power supply has some small internal resistance. Okay, and whenever the current spike is there, like whenever you are really rotating the motor, here we have a motor. So whenever the motor is running for the first time, it is gonna draw a huge current, guys. That current is known as an inrush current. So it might be like 5 times or 10 times more than the normal requiring current. So that kind of current rush, which is gonna cause some voltage drop for the microcontroller. Whenever that some kind of voltage drop which has been there in the microcontroller, So imagine your microcontroller needs 3.3 voltage or something. So because of that inrush current, which is happening because of the motors run. So what if it is gonna have, or it is gonna experience some drop in the voltage, like 2.8 or 2.7 or something. So that is, even it is happening just for 1 millisecond. Even there is always 3.3, but just for 1 millisecond, it is going into 2.9, 2.8 voltage. So microcontroller lacks the power supply. So it might get resetted. Okay. So guys, are you clear? It might get resetted. So whenever that reset is happening, okay, so whenever that kind of problem is happening, so imagine whenever you are driving a motor, suddenly the microcontroller is going to get restarted and you are not going to see any outputs. So guys, are you all clear about the problem? If you all clear about the problem, all people just post clear Sanjay in your comment section. So whenever you are seeing such kind of problem, that problem can be solved by using decoupling capacitors. So whenever there is no any decoupling capacitors, so whenever the motor is turned on, then the microcontroller is going to reset and the LED is going to turn off and it is going to come back. And even in the terminal, there is going to be some resetting message. And even in the voltage drop, which is going to be on the multimeter, even if you are seeing it in a multimeter, there might be some voltage drop because what if the microcontroller is always getting 3.3 voltage, but when the motor is rotating for the first time, the current spike, which is going to cause the voltage drop, which is going to maybe move into 2.4 voltage and also microcontroller can't able to handle it. So that's why that problem can be solved simply by putting up a decoupling capacitor. Sanjay, how can I put the decoupling capacitor, Sanjay? Ta-da! Guys, can you see this? This is the load pin. Across the load pin, we have to use the decoupling capacitors between the power supply as well. Okay, there is some power supply and there is some load. So in between that, you have to put a decoupling capacitor. And Sanjay, can you show it in the real life? Yes. So that's why I just brought up this robot for you guys. You can see this is the robot. You might have heard about L29 3D for driving a bigger DC motor. But this is another driver which I have, which is called DRV I guess. So this is a driver module we have. And to the driver module here, we have connected all these motors and microcontroller pins. Everything is all connected here. You can see this is all the place where it has been connected, and even it is getting a power supply as well. So here you have, here it is getting a power supply as well. So this is the switch. And whenever I'm turning it on, it is, whenever I'm turning on the switch, it is coming into the fuse. And from the fuse, it is going to be given to this driver. And when it has been directly given to the driver, as we already know, we are going to experience that power fluctuation issues or some noise issues or microcontroller reset issues and all. So that's why what we have dropped is, instead of directly giving a power supply to the load, okay, here we are getting a power supply. So this is what the switch and fuse. So whenever I'm turning on the switch, it is getting a power supply here. So that power supply, instead of directly connecting a power supply to this load or to this, to this driver, okay, instead of giving a direct power supply to this load or to this driver, in between what we did parallel connections of the decoupling capacitors. And Sanjay, what is that decoupling capacitors and what value we need to take, or what value we need to take? Actually, that decision we can make based on the power, how much power you are working on. For an example, here you can see, moreover, like here, whenever we are really operating at 3.3 voltage or 5 voltage or something, here we guys have used 10 microfarad capacitor with a 100 nanofarad ceramic capacitor. So actually the capacitor which I used here, it is, I guess it is, this is actually a 100 microfarad electrolytic capacitor. Okay, whereas this small capacitor, which is a 0.1 microfarad capacitor. So these are the two capacitors which I taken as a parallel connection, and I just connected across the voltage and then load, because here, as what I already told you, from the battery here we are getting a power supply around 3.7 voltage or something. So that power voltage need to be given to this load. Load is a driver here. But instead of directly connecting here, in between, I dropped two capacitors. One is electrolytic, another one is ceramic. Both the things parallel together. So, and even what are all the values? The electrolytic we guys have used here, it is 100 microfarad. And the ceramic capacitor which we have used is a 0.1 microfarad. Okay, so that's what the two capacitor which we guys have dropped parallelly with this. So what this is going to solve? So here, remember the small ceramic capacitor, which is going to act as like a local energy reserve. The small capacitor, I'm telling you. Whereas if you talk about the bigger electrolytic capacitor, which is going to be helpful for handling a heavy voltage changes or heavy voltage fluctuations. So whenever the motor is gonna run, the main supply is gonna turn on, and it is gonna sack the cap right there next to the microcontroller. So it is gonna dump that storage charge instantly onto the VCC rail, fill the gap before the microcontroller even notice its problem. So it gonna recharge in a microsecond when the supply recovers, ready for the next spike. So what do you mean by that? Imagine normally there is one DC power supply. For an example, this is a DC power supply where we are getting around 3.3 voltage. Okay, DC power supply means a straight line. But at the same time, what if motor is turned on? Okay, so what if we are turning on the motor? Okay, motor on. When the motor is on, when it is getting 3.3 voltage, but certainly there might be some spike, okay, or there might be some drop. Okay, so this is what the changes which is happening when it is when the motor is turned on. This is what the thing which has been happened. So when it has been happened, now here we have a capacitor, right? So here we have a capacitor. One is polarized capacitor, another one is unpolarized capacitor. So one is ceramic, another one is electrolytic. So likewise, here we are gonna put one capacitor right here. Okay. So whenever we are dropping this kind of capacitor, which is like electrolytic capacitor and another one is ceramic capacitor. So it is around 100 microfarad for an example. Okay, as per the hardware, guys. Okay, I'm really sorry about my bad drawing, but you just try to understand. So this is another capacitor which is going to be a 0.1 microfarad capacitor. So what these two capacitor is going to handle? Whenever the very huge spike is there, this is going to be solved or handled by bigger 100 microfarad capacitor, and small spikes might be handled by using a normal 0.1 microfarad capacitor. So now what it is going to do? It is going to adjust. What do you mean by adjusting? Here there is some spike. So this spike is going to be handled by discharging the voltage. Okay, so it might be like this. So here what it has happened? This capacitor, it is going to discharge the voltage to solve the problem of spike, and there is some drop or dip is there. So that dip which is going to be handled by charging it. So in this place, some charging which is going to happen by the capacitor. The capacitor is going to charge some voltage. Okay. So likewise, it is going to do a charge and discharge properly. Okay. To get the 3.3 voltage steady, somewhat steady output at the output side. Guys, do you really love this type of teaching? Do you clearly understood why we are using this ceramic and electrolytic capacitor together for solving this kind of problem? Because any hardware you see, whenever you see this 2 rupee component, like some ceramic capacitors or electrolytic capacitor, these capacitor is gonna solve that kind of voltage issues. Then Sanjay, decoupling capacitor is okay. Then what is that bypassing capacitor? Bypass capacitor is also gonna be somewhat same. Okay, bypass capacitor and decoupling capacitors are very, very essential. Okay, which is gonna be for some different functionality. So what is the difference is, if you talk about the decoupling capacitor here, it is going to isolate the component from noise on the power supply line, providing a local reservoir for charge. Why? Because here we have connected with the load and another end which has been connected with the power supply. No. So this decoupling capacitor which is going to isolate the component from the noise on the power supply, so that whenever you are facing a power supply issue, your microcontroller is getting restarting because it lacks the power supply whenever the motor is running, then that problem can be solved by using what? A decoupling capacitors. Then what is that bypassing? So bypass is like, which is going to bypass the high frequency noise around the component to the ground. So there is some resistance or there is some load or something like that. So there is some high frequency noise is there around the component or something. So even imagine there are 5 components. Out of that 5 components, there are a lot of noise which is happening. So you can put one bypassing capacitor between the circuit or something, and you are going to make it to the ground. So whenever the high frequency noise is happening around the certain component, we are going to put it to the ground to reduce the noise on the supply voltage. Guys, are you all really clear? So both decoupling capacitor circuit as well as the bypass capacitor circuit, which is going to be helpful for stabilizing a DC voltage. How it is going to stabilize the DC voltage? By doing charging and discharging. Okay, by with the help of charging and discharging, we are going to solve that kind of problem. So that's what the decoupling capacitor is going to do. So even if you take any lot of boards, so even if you see any lot of boards, in most of the boards, they will be having that kind of capacitors, which is going to be kept near to the IC. So all people look out this board here. In this board here, why we are using one small ceramic capacitor? Because of that reason. Okay, and also near to the crystal also there is some certain capacitors. And especially if you see the power supply unit, guys, are you really enjoying the session? Do you really find out the session is so valuable? Because we are teaching you everything by showing you the real hardware. You can see this is a power supply unit. Power supply unit number 1. Here you will be connecting a 9-volt battery adapter, or sorry, power adapter, and that is going to be converted into like pure DC by using a rectifier. And then whenever you are doing a conversion like AC to DC or something, it is not going to be a pure DC. Instead, it is going to have some pulsating DC. And that is going to be solved by using 2 capacitor parallel. One is electrolytic capacitor, bigger one, and small one, which is a 0.1 microfarad. It is a ceramic. So that 2 capacitor, which is going to solve that problem. Okay, as same as like if you see any place, like even here the USB module is there. Here also there is some combo like electrolytic with ceramic and electrolytic with ceramic. So likewise, that electrolytic and ceramic capacitor combination, which is going to be helpful for handling a noise properly. So that's what it's all about. And what is the rule number 6? Whenever you are really connecting, whenever you are really seeing that kind of voltage issues, so that can be solved by using one electrolytic, one ceramic capacitor parallel between the VCC pin of the IC. Okay, because if you take a motor here, so here these 2 pin, which is going to be a VCC and ground pin. So across the VCC pin and ground pin, we have dropped this 2 capacitor right there. But remember, you should not put very away, guys. It's a very important thing. Because even though you are using this decoupling capacitor near to this, you should not put this decoupling capacitor here or here or here. No. Instead, you should put as much close as possible. Because if you're putting a capacitor away, there is no use of using capacitor away. If you wanted to solve that kind of problems, so or that kind of charging and discharging, if it need to handle it in a very faster rate, you have to put these capacitor circuit very close to the connection as possible, like load as possible. So that's what the very important key term, like place as closest to the power pin as physically possible. So that we can able to solve that kind of problem really out there. Okay. So guys, do you really love this part of the session? So today we guys have learned just for 20 minutes. So just for 20 minutes, we guys have learned about the decoupling capacitor and why it is needed to be used and what kind of problem it is going to solve. If you all really love this, all people just post, I love this, Sanjay, in your comment section.